Today, the state of Michigan begins the period of lockdown, of shelter in place, where only those who are essential come to work. And therefore, we recognize still more not just the threat and the danger and the worry that troubles all of us, but simply the fact that everyone around us is consumed with worries. Everyone, well, the reality is we're not talking to everyone, but because we are isolated, now we spend all of our time on the computer, on the phone, on the social media, on the news sites, watching the television. At least if you all are like me, you have been fixated on these matters. And there are so many voices, so many people shouting about the virus on the one hand and the economy on the other, and this and that, and the politics, and the businesses, and in the face of all of these realities, one's head begins to spin. One's head begins to hurt, because to discern truth, to find some stable conclusion, how should we think? How should we approach these things? It seems impossible. What I urge myself first, and what I urge all of us to do, is to remember that although perhaps the pace of life has seemed to increase, although the pace and diet of news and information and arguments has reached a fever pitch, the world in truth has not changed. There has always been trouble in the world. There have always been sicknesses. There have always been problems with the economy. There have always been wars. The news cycle has not stopped since the birth of humanity. What we are called to do in this time, not just because the governor tells us to stay home, but because the Lord commands us to be at peace. The Lord urges us to hold fast to the one thing that is needful. The Lord offers to us a peace that is beyond what the world gives. He assures us that He has overcome the world. And therefore, we have the option not to tune out our neighbor, not to deny the needs of those around us, but to set aside the many voices who argue right now. If there is nothing that we can do to change the situation, if all we are doing is consuming someone else's argument, then for now, for this moment, for these days, we are called instead to attend to the more essential matters of mercy and prayer and love, and to seek the peace of the Lord at all times. For God is with us. He commands the nations to understand it and submit themselves, and they don't want to. They argue, they yell, they shout, they bicker. But we who hear His voice are still called to submit ourselves, are still called to follow the Lord, to listen to His words, not the arguments around us. and are given, we are offered and we are blessed to receive the peace of the Lord. I pray today that the peace of God may be with all of us.